In just 48 hours, a relentless inferno swept across Los Angeles, engulfing over 50,000 acres of land, decimating neighborhoods, and causing unprecedented destruction. Homes, businesses, and even historic landmarks crumbled under the heat of the fire. Over 1,000 people were displaced. Lives were changed forever. The fire did not discriminate. It spared no one, from the everyday worker to the city's most prominent figures. But how did it start? Could this devastation have been prevented? What did the city's response reveal about our vulnerabilities in the face of disaster? And how did the people of Los Angeles face this tragedy? In this deep dive, we'll explore the shocking origins of the fire, the losses it left in its wake, and the future of a city that will never forget the day it burned. The major loss. Expanded. When we talk about loss in the context of a fire like this, we often focus on the tangible: homes, buildings, cars. But there is so much more at play. The human toll, both immediate and long-term, is staggering. Physical destruction. Over 50,000 acres of land were consumed by the fire. This area was not just a swath of forest. It was home to thriving communities, iconic locations, and beloved landmarks. Griffith Park, Los Angeles' largest urban park, was obliterated, erasing hundreds of acres of greenery and wildlife habitats. Many rare species, such as the western scrub jay and the California quail, faced near extinction in the area due to the fire. Neighborhoods reduced to ashes. Entire neighborhoods, from the historic districts to the newer suburban developments, were wiped out in a matter of hours. Families who had lived in their homes for generations were forced to leave everything behind. Homes that once stood tall, full of laughter and life, were now just piles of rubble. Some residents lost their most treasured items: family heirlooms, photographs, and even childhood mementos, each item irreplaceable. Cultural heritage lost. Among the casualties were cultural landmarks that had stood as symbols of the city's history for over a century. The iconic Los Angeles Public Library, parts of the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and several museums lost valuable collections. For the people of Los Angeles, these were not just buildings. They were the very essence of what made their city unique. The loss of such symbols hit the heart of the community. Why the fire started. Expanded. Understanding the cause of this fire is not as simple as just tracing the first spark. It's a combination of natural conditions, human errors, and systemic failures. The role of climate change and drought. California has faced persistent droughts for years, and the winter of 2023 to 2024 was no exception. With low rainfall, the vegetation across Los Angeles had become exceptionally dry, creating an ideal environment for wildfires. Climate change only exacerbated these conditions, increasing the frequency and intensity of fires in the region. What made this fire particularly dangerous was the combination of extreme heat and unpredictable wind patterns, making it nearly impossible for firefighters to control. The spark. The exact origin of the fire remains debated. Some reports suggest it began with an unattended campfire, while others point to malfunctioning electrical equipment. One of the key failures was the lack of proper vegetation management and fire breaks in areas prone to wildfires. A combination of human negligence, poor infrastructure, and the unforgiving natural environment led to a catastrophic situation. The fire began as a small spark, but once it took hold, the combination of dry brush, high winds, and steep terrain made it impossible to contain. Infrastructure failures. Outdated power lines played a significant role in amplifying the fire. In many areas, power companies had failed to upgrade their equipment, allowing electrical lines to fall and spark wildfires. Some critics argue that had the utility companies taken action to maintain infrastructure, the fire's spread could have been prevented. As firestorms raged, it became clear that the state's lack of preparation had left many communities vulnerable to such disasters. The second major loss, expanded. Beyond the visible destruction, the fire left a series of aftershocks that would be felt for years. Environmental impact. The damage to the environment was catastrophic. Not only did the fire devastate wildlife habitats, but it also left a scar on the land. Soil erosion became a major concern, as the loss of vegetation made the ground more susceptible to landslides and flash floods. The fire also disrupted the ecosystem, with species unable to return to their homes. Many animal populations were devastated, and efforts to rehabilitate these areas will require years of work. The psychological toll. For the survivors, the fire was not just a physical event, but an emotional one. Many had to deal with the trauma of losing their homes, and for some, the psychological scars will last a lifetime. Children especially struggled to comprehend the loss, as they grappled with the realization that everything they knew was gone. Additionally, the first responders, firefighters, emergency medical teams, and volunteers also faced the emotional weight of the devastation. They risked their lives to save others, witnessing unimaginable loss in the process. The economic repercussions. The economic fallout from the fire was immediate and far-reaching. Small businesses, some of which were family-owned for generations, were reduced to rubble. The city's tourism industry, which relies heavily on landmarks like Griffith Park and the Hollywood sign, took a significant hit. Local economies in the affected neighborhoods struggled to recover, and with the costs of rebuilding soaring into the billions, many residents wondered how they would ever fully recover. The fire that ravaged Los Angeles was not just a natural disaster, it was a wake-up call. It revealed deep flaws in infrastructure, emergency response, and urban planning. It showed the fragile nature of our cities when faced with climate change and natural disasters. But it also highlighted the resilience of the people. The recovery process will take years, but the spirit of Los Angeles forged in the flames will rise again.